Now, of course, it comes to you live from our studios in Douala. Right ahead, the headlines with Chadian Henry Atembe.
Over 100 returnees from fruitless expedition to Europe receive financial assistance for their reinsertion into the society. These former migrants who traveled through unconventional means have been cautioned to follow the right path if ever they yearn to travel for greener pastures. And gangmen burgled Chadian consulate in Douala, carried away 28 million francs CFA. The suspects are ex-convicts of Chadian nationality. Welcome to the 650 News with anchorman Tariqa Divine Ramsey Jr.
And as you heard in one of our lead stories, on the night of November 26 this year, a bunch of armed men broke into the Chadian consulate in Douala, stabbed the security guard on duty, and then vamoosed a couple of minutes later with 28 million CFA francs. Less than a month later, gendarmes say they have nailed several suspects. Gladys Sambo reports.
A simulation of the burglary at the Chadian consulate in Douala on the nights of November 26 to 27, 2022. These men, each between 28 and 39, scaled the fence of the Chadian consulate in Douala, tied up the security officer, stabbed him severally before making their way into the office of the Deputy Consul General. There, they reportedly broke the safe and made away with 28 million francs CFA. Gendarme officers of the Douala 1 Gendarmerie Company, who were informed, stormed the scene and opened investigations that led to the arrest of the alleged culprits on December 7, 2022. They were presented to the press this December 15 in the presence of officials of the Ministry of External Relations. The suspects are Chadian nationals, 3 of them ex-convicts. One of the alleged bandits is the receptionist of the consulate who was on suspension. He reportedly revealed to gendarme officers that the mastermind of the act is an agent of the consulate whom he said intentionally left the safe open to facilitate the robbery. They all confessed they took the booty to the Newbell cemetery that night, where each had their share. After laying hands on 4 of them in Douala, who had traveled to Maga in the far north region to allegedly procure an arm, was picked up in the locality of Gividik by the investigative unit of the far north Gendarmerie Legion. The alleged criminal was transported to the tied up, was discovered dead in the premise of the consulate.
Now let's stay on the same page with news of another big catch as judicial police officials in Douala present 12 suspects believed to be implicated dead as he came to the rescue of an Indian national who was under attack by these suspects. D. Maureen reports.
The simulation exercise took less than 15 minutes, conducted by the investigative department of the judicial police. It is the exact time that the suspects used in attacking the Indian national on board his vehicle, parked in front of former Marlborough building in Aqua, Douala. The gang of 7 were spread at strategic corners and another on a standby motorcycle. Armed with guns, they attacked the vehicle, took the bag of money, which contains the sum of 8 million francs CFA. As they moved towards the motorbike, the main security guard on duty tried to stop them. Unfortunately, he was shot 3 times at close range. He died on the spot while the suspects disappeared on board a motorbike.
With the complicity of a former employee of this company, 2 of them acting with their faces uncovered, surprised the accountant of the company with his driver by pulling on the wheel of the vehicle to intimidate them. before taking away a bag containing the sum of 8 million francs, a laptop computer and other effects.
The Indian national is an accountant working. Reports say it's not the first robbery attempt. The last, a few months back, failed, with fingers pointing at one of the SAC agents, Senior. The robbery incident occurred at about 8 a.m., November 4, 2022. Investigations were opened by the judicial police, which led to the arrest of 5 suspects and 7 other accomplices. 2 others are still on the run. The presentation and simulation exercise, December 15, held in the presence of the widow and children of the deceased security guard.
Now, against the backdrop of the proliferation of cases of violent crimes across Cameroon, the government is putting in place what it calls the National Chamber of Criminal Experts to serve as auxiliaries to the justice system. So what would be their contribution in helping flatten the crime wave curve in the country? Beatrice Ngamo went in search of answers.
The context today is one marked by violent crimes such as the phenomenon of microbes taking a disturbing proportion in the town of Douala, armed individuals instilling terror and fear on the population, resurgence of juvenile crimes, cyber crimes, economic and financial crimes, forgery, smuggling, human rights violation, and all. The expertise of National Chamber of Criminal Experts of Cameroon, but imperative as the security and safety of population their priority. The Chamber needs to consult with the powers that be and other authorities to eradicate this kind of phenomenon, which is not a good presentation. As auxiliaries of justice, it is their inquiry and investigation that throws more light before the court. The criminal experts must balance the weight of the judicial scale. Their experience helps them know better the case at hand and must do job well to avoid either releasing a criminal or putting an innocent person in prison with the goal to roll back violent crimes. The criminal experts uses technical, scientific means to bring truth to the limelight. A new bureau was elected last October and the General Public Prosecutor installed them Thursday in Yaoundé.
Now, away from the good grades being earned by law enforcement officials in Douala, let's head off to the Northwest region, where the same law enforcement officials are being frowned upon. In fact, drivers plying the region's roads are threatening to pack up their vehicles and down their tools in protest over what they claim harassment and extortion by policemen and gendarmes who have set up what some say are illegal checkpoints on the roads in that part of the country. Sherifa Saleh, meantime, says local authorities are brainstorming in bids to seek for solutions. Here's a report.
In a bid to create a peaceful and harmonious working relationship between the gendarmerie and transporters in the Northwest region, the meeting has taken place at the command post of the 5th Joint Military Region in Bamenda, chaired by the commander of the 5th Gendarmerie Joint Region, Brigadier General Husseini Jibo. Members of the drivers' syndicate aired out their grievances on the persistent harassment from the multiple checkpoints in and around Bamenda.
Those are roads going to our key schools, under which controls keep cars there, taxis, for more than 1 hour.
The partnership between gendarmerie, between defense forces and security and civil society is going on. And we have the resolutions after that meeting in satisfaction of everybody.
The drivers' syndicate has threatened to ground their vehicles if certain conditions are not met by this month's end.
End of December, Babanki Road to quit out that Babanki Road, they control the Babanki Road at that police station, newly created police school. So the customs at Sabga, they are not custom officers, but they are gendarmes and police. So we have asked, we are giving him up to the 30th of this month.
For some weeks now, the Bamenda-Ndop, Kumbo and Kambe stretch of the ring road has not been going through due to the separatist threat, and the senior official has a suggestion.
If that is the case, we are ready to assure them, to secure them. The hierarchy send us support. You see our troops there, and we have means. We are ready to help.
Since the installation of new senior military officials at the helm of this 5th Joint Military Region,
The population of the West and the Northwest regions have been relieved after the suppression of the cumbersome checkpoints at Matasam.
Now, on October 21, 2016, a crowded Camry intercity passenger train en route to the economic capital from Yaoundé crashed at Eseka following a derailment. The government put the death toll at 80, with over 550 people injured. It was one of Africa's deadliest rail accidents on record. 6 years down the road, the government has, this December 16, inaugurated a monument at the Eseka train station to pay homage to the accident victims. The ceremony was chaired by Transport Minister Jean-Ernest Massenangale-Bibehe. Now let's move on to something else, because it is the eve of the festive season across Cameroon, and during such periods, it is commonplace to find people crisscrossing the country for family reunions and multi-form celebrations. Usually, for the vast majority, their takeoff points are the motor parks across the country. And Chair Hyacinth says in the following report, and after reading through a research paper, he says motor park toilets across the country are major transmission hubs for diseases. Here's his finding.
The hygienic conditions in most traveling agencies in Cameroon remain questionable. The toilets in a deplorable state with pungent smell, playing host to thousands of travelers daily. A phenomenon that had preoccupied these PhD students, Ngong Innocent, who embarked on a comprehensive research discovering many infections found in such unhealthy areas.
We have discovered over 18 species of microbes that are undetected in this traveling agency that can be transmitted to humans. And we have also verified that effectively people are suffering with these infections in the clinics around the traveling agency. When these microbes are rampant, the growth is high, the season, and when we can control the spread in our environment.
Bagging home the grade of Tres Honorable from the University of Yaoundé 1 on the topic, impact of environmental factors on the dissemination of some waterborne infections in the hydro systems and sanitary infrastructure in and around motor parks of Yaoundé. The studies put forth a series of solutions and major recommendations.
And we are happy that we came out with a model, the same model that can permit us to control all of these illnesses, knowing the day, knowing the time, and knowing when we can possibly have these infections in the community. People should not defecate all around the traveling agency because it's a source of contamination.
And being an actor in local development, he equally suggests that different councils should take up the management of hygiene and sanitation in the parks to be able to curb the disturbing situation.
Now, despite continuing reports of tragic outcomes for African migrants en route to Europe in quest of greener pasture, thousands of Cameroonian youth appear undeterred. Observers say almost on a daily basis now, thousands embark on the life-threatening journey which requires crossing the harsh Sahara Desert as well as the Mediterranean Sea to be able to succeed. Up next, Dee Maureen recounts the ordeal and penitence of one of them.
C'était pas difficile de traverser tous ces pays pour y arriver.
Ngamini's story is not different from that of other migrants who left Cameroon through irregular means, crossing borders, scaling fences, or contacting smugglers who ship them across bodies of water just to get to Europe. Ngamini tells me his intended destination was Spain, but he ended just in Morocco. He was exposed to violence, exploitation and enslavement. The former migrant is worried of Cameroonian youths going through the same ordeal. He cautioned youths to think differently.
Qu'un trouve ne serait-ce que de quoi faire pour avoir ne serait-ce que son gagne-pain.
In a ceremony to commemorate the International Migrants' Day in Douala, over 100 returnees are awarded financial grants by the International Organization for Migrants to empower them economically.
We have assisted almost more than 7,000 people. Most of them are men. When they come back in Cameroon, we assist them with their integration activities. For the reintegration, for the economic assistance, we paid them 800,000.
Other youths of school-going ages are also part of the sensitization campaign.
We have most our youth who migrate. They don't go, in a legitimate way, and so we are supposed to carry out a lot of sensitization on the real way to.
The aim of this gathering is to promote a humane and orderly management of migrants for the benefit of all, including the countries of origin, transit, and destination.
Now on to something else, and over 4 billion CFA francs, and that's the adopted 2023 budget for the Cameroon Chamber of Commerce, meeting at their third plenary session for the year in Douala Thursday. Members took the commitment to promote made in Cameroon products. Chadian Henry Atembe.
The Cameroon Chamber of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Craft has taken far-reaching decisions as they close the financial year 2022. Meeting in Douala on December 15, 2022 for the third plenary session, members of the chambers equally adopted the 2023 budget proposal, which stands at about 4 billion CFA francs. Chaired by the President, Christophe Ken, the third plenary was an opportunity for the Chamber of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Craft to crusade for the qualitative and quantitative transformation of local products branded made in Cameroon that can be exported to other African countries. This decision is triggered by the high cost of imported goods that are suffocating the consumers. With a call for import substitutions, young entrepreneurs would be assisted by the Chamber of Commerce, which already has a reservoir of experts in various domains.
Now let's stay on the business lanes, because the United States of America has announced plans to unlock fresh opportunities for trade and investment with Africa via the signing of an MOU, or a Memorandum of Understanding, with the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, which has just seen the light of day. The announcement was made by President Joe Biden at the just ended USA-Africa Leaders Summit in Washington, D.C. According to President Biden, the Memorandum of Understanding represents a fabulous opportunity for Africa. We have a chance to hear from the horse's mouth. Here is President Joe Biden.
This compact will invest $500 million to build and maintain roads, put in place policies that reduce transportation costs, making it easier and faster for ships to ship goods from the port of Cotonou to neighboring landlocked countries.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch.
Well, sorry for that mix-up there. We'll try and improve on that when we come around next week. So, is the Social Democratic Front, or the SDF, on the verge of an implosion? Well, that's the running theme when Janice Kamga takes over from me from Yaoundé with our panelists. They will be discussing that. Meantime, there is more news in French at exactly 1950 on the same channel with Alain Ghislain Kanga. Have a great weekend and see you Monday, inshallah.